TMDE, Browns edition. What up, YouTube? What up, Facebook? It's TMDE Week 15 Browns edition. And man, we got a great show for you today. And I got my boy Aaron Sims. And let him know what's good, baby.
What's up? What's up? It's all good. Let's go. Let's get it.
And we have a very prestigious guest today. We have a writer. He's a staff writer for Dawgs by Nature and the SB Network. We have Barry Shuck here in the building. Barry, how you doing today?
Yeah, how are y'all doing? Go Browns.
Go Browns. So now, Barry, being a writer at Browns Dawgs by Nation, give me some background on yourself. Let me know how long you've been doing this, what interested you in, covering the Browns.
I've been covering the Browns about 3 years now. I've been a pro football writer ever since the 90s when Bill Belichick was head coach of the Cleveland Browns. That was my first year writing. I cover the Senior Bowl every year, and I actually had my photo taken with Bill Belichick in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, 1995. Still got it, had it blown up. I see Belichick every year at the Senior Bowl. I should bring it out and say, you remember this?
I would, you want to send me a picture of that.
I need to. I've met hundreds and hundreds of famous people, including comedians and pro football players, and met a lot of pro basketball players. But I've only asked two to have my picture taken. One is Belichick, and the other was White.
Wow, that is wonderful. That is wonderful, man. So you got a pretty good extensive background. You've seen it all, done it all, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much, but I have an affinity for pro football. I couldn't tell you much about basketball, baseball, hockey, maybe some soccer, but I've just always liked history, and I've always liked pro football. What I enjoyed about pro football growing up is that the team stayed the same. With college football, you got one guy that starts for a year or maybe two, then he's gone. I couldn't keep up with that. But pro football, back in my day, everybody stayed. Everybody just continued on, and you could keep up with the roster. And I enjoyed that, so I just kind of gravitated to pro football, and it's just my thing.
That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you, man. You got a lot of. We can't wait to hear some of your information, your knowledge, your expertise on this game we got going on tomorrow. So, like I always say, also every week, make sure you guys tune into our sister channel at circleofnerds.com/all that good stuff, where we do all kinds of nerdy content. And like I say every week, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. We love to get you guys' input. You think we're right, we think we're wrong. It is what it is. So let's get to that first question, fellas. So Barry, you are the guest, so I'm going to ask you this first.
All right.
Would you rather Kevin Stefanski or the combination of Mike Prefer and Van Pelt coach this game versus the Raiders tomorrow? What's your input?
Well, if you look at the last 8 games, the Browns are scoring 16 points a game. Now, that includes scoring 41 against the Cincinnati Bengals, and probably, if you ask me, it's the only really complete game I've seen them play this year on all three units of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams. But if you take that 41 points out, they're only averaging 11 points a game. Now, raise your hand, anybody that wants to be the coach of a team that's only scoring 11 points. Yeah, that's what I thought. So they're having issues, and they're having a lot of offensive issues. When you looked at this team beginning of the season, with Odell coming back, and he looked healthy, and Jarvis is a Pro Bowler, and then you had the emergency of Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then look at the tight end, Austin Hooper, 2-time Pro Bowler, David Njoku, who, if you ever seen him without his shirt off, he looks like an Adonis. Mm-hmm. And then the offensive line, five out of 5 guys were going to be good. And then, of course, Baker had a good season the second half last year. Just thought this offense was just going to blow everything up. Well, they're blowing up all right. You look at that wide receiver, I can't believe that wide receiver room has just fallen apart like that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty. Aaron, I'm gonna let Aaron go. I like to go last. Aaron, what you think, man? How you think about this wide receiver room and everything that's going on with the Browns?
Well, I think it's just like right now, when you look at the scoring average, I think it goes on with everything that's the problem. The way that Stefanski is calling the game. You know, it's hard to be a head coach and a play caller at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you ask me who would I like to see? Yeah, I would like to see more help from Van Pelt. You know, more minds make a better plan. You know what I mean? And I actually blame Stefanski, not Baker, for the problem with Odell because you're the coach. Call a play. Even if you tell him, you know, you got to get the ball, to your, you know, your star receiver. And it is a problem in the receiver room because they don't have a number one receiver or number two right now. They have a bunch of number threes.
I feel you on that. This is my thing, man.
Okay.
You know, I see when we get on here and we start talking about Baker, people get into their feelings. And
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I want Baker to succeed, but I'm just not a fan. He's not my favorite player. So, but I want the guy to succeed. I just don't think he can. And I've been saying this week after week after week. But I do put the majority of the blame on Stefanski because this is the guy who's calling the plays. He's to be the overseer. You know, I don't feel like, you know, take a step back, do what Tomlin does, and let these guys do their job. I'd rather me personally see Van Pelt and Pruitt for the rest of the season.
Right.
You know, he showed me that he's allergic to field goals. Some of the play calls, you know, you're calling draw plays on 3rd and 10 and all this craziness. I don't know what's wrong with Stefanski, what's going on in his head. And there's a lot of receiver, Diggs had an issue with him when he was in Minnesota. He said he just completely destroyed like the passing game. You know, he loves his 3 tight end sets. I get it. You want to keep somebody in there to help block for Baker. I understand that. But sometimes, damn, I thought we were straight in the wide receiver room. I thought we were wonderful, and then now everything just falling apart. Where's Hollywood Higgins?
Right.
Higgins, when is he gonna show up? He's in the doghouse. Well, what'd he do? Don't nobody know. So it just kind of blows my mind.
I know what happened to Hollywood. He came to the Dogs by Nature offices, and we sent him out for sandwiches, and he never came back.
Yeah. Wow. That's what it seems like. Yeah, that's what it seems like. So everything is just. I'm surprised that I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed right now in the season. I expected way more because besides the media just blew this thing up. The Browns is winning the Super Bowl. We getting there, and to have it just implode like the way it did is a disaster. It's very sick. It's sickening and saddening at the same time. It makes it hard to be a Browns fan.
Right.
Well, it always makes it hard to be a Browns fan, and Cincinnati Bengal fans. I've talked to a number of them. They're the same way. They sound exactly like a Browns fan. We did this, we did turnovers, we had these guys, we lost it. What happened? We had a good team coming in. What's happened? So that goes around the table right there. And the Browns, you know, they got a good taste of it last year. But if you look at last year, they played 2 games against the Bengals, which were patsies. And then we played the NFC East, which none of those teams are good. So there was 6 games right there that you just couldn't help but win. Then we played Jacksonville. We lost to the Jets. That was their 2nd win. But we just beat some really, really bad teams.
Exactly.
And then except for the Titans, all the good teams we faced, we couldn't stand up to them. So that tells you good teams should be good teams. Middle of the road teams are going to be plus minus.
Mm-hmm. And I cannot deny everything you just said, man. I wasn't impressed last year until they beat the Titans. I still was very skeptical about the whole thing. I was like, I don't know, until they beat, like you said, until they beat you don't have to just I don't expect you to destroy a good team, but just be competitive. You can win by 6-3. I would have been happy. Just beat a good team. Beat a playoff caliber team. You won't get no complaints from me. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but
And the Raiders are a team that they should just abandon the pass completely. The Raiders are 25th against the run. That's a team that we should be able to slam it down their throats. They've only allowed 14 touchdowns, but they're bottom 3rd in the league against the run. here's my thing about Stefanski. They will play a team that is weak, like Minnesota. Minnesota, when they played them, they were 28th in the league against the run. We ran for the first 2 series, and then all of a sudden we're a passing team. It was set up for Chubb and Hunt, and of course that was before we knew Dearness was what he was. It was set up for that. I think Chubb had 40-something yards that game. I just don't understand when you're, if you play fantasy football,
We do.
you're deciding which running back to play or which wide receiver. I always go to NFL.com /stats, and I bring up the team's a passing defense that I'm playing against, or their rushing defense that I'm playing against. And if they're weak, that's how I decide which running back or which wide receiver to start.
So how you doing in fantasy right now?
I haven't played in years. I used to play a ton of it.
Yeah.
And I just got, it wasn't that it wasn't fun. I just got disinterested.
Yeah.
So, but I tell you what I did like about fantasy, it taught you who the tight end was of the Texans. It taught you who the kicker was for the Seahawks.
Exactly.
Because you had to keep up with that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I did enjoy that because it keeps you more involved into the NFL other than the team that you follow.
Gotcha.
And as a Browns fan, you might follow 4 teams, all AFC North teams. But other than that, I couldn't tell you who's kicking for the Cowboys, who's behind Saquon Barkley with the Giants. I just can't. But
Yes.
I did enjoy it when I played it, but then just one day I just woke up and said, I'm just not going to join this year. I'm just not going to do it.
I got you. All right, so
it's set up for them to run against the Raiders. The question is, will they?
you're absolutely right. And we're going to see tomorrow. I'm hoping somebody, before we get to the matter of fact, let's just get to it real quick. So the next question, because it's included in what I was going to say. What is the COVID-19 situation right now as far as inactive and active players? Who are we going to have tomorrow?
Ooh, have you either one of y'all played safety in high school or college? Because we need somebody.
I played corner and wide receiver.
I think a lot of safeties are converted corners. So
yeah.
What size jersey you wear? Andrew Barry called me a while ago and he's looking for somebody.
Now I don't think I can do it. My back got one shot. Now it's over. I can get hit by JoJo Nansen and I'll probably be laid out. And he ain't but like 5'8".
Yeah. Well, Nick Mullins is going to start.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
That's where you should start. And during the week, I was trying to figure out who were they going to put as backup. They signed Kyle Aletta, who was in this training camp.
Correct.
In fact, he looked really, really good at training camp.
He did.
People were kind of surprised when they cut him and didn't sign him to the practice squad. He's been on Jacksonville's practice squad all week and all year until this week. So that's where they signed him. But Nick Mullins, he's had some success when he was with San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, he started 8 games.
Yeah, he beat the Raiders.
5.
Yeah.
But he had some good games during that time. He tossed 13 touchdowns, but he also tossed 10 interceptions.
Right.
Achilles' heel is he really doesn't kind of take care of the ball. He had 4 fumbles and 3 of them lost.
We don't need to hear that. We definitely don't need to hear that right now.
I mean, for real though, if you look,
does that all the time.
Yeah.
if you look at his stat,
Of 90.8.
Yeah.
For those 8 games that he started, and then the next year he just only played in 1 game and played some mock up, and he was just kind of the forgotten man until Garoppolo kind of took hold and grabbed hold of it. So
Yeah.
So he's had he's played in 16 NFL games, started 8. So that's basically where he is. So he's got some experience. God forbid if he goes down though.
Yeah. Aaron, you were saying something? Go ahead, my brother.
no, I was just gonna say he said it. I'm just saying, in 16 games, he threw for over 4,000 yards. He had 25 touchdowns, but he had 22 interceptions. So, he has a lot of, it's not like he's a rookie out there. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that they don't have no tape on him with the Browns. I mean, they're gonna run it down their throats anyway. So maybe we get a pass or 2. that might sneak through to help us win, because our defense has been keeping us in the game anyways, and hopefully the defense can play tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll be our Dearness Johnson for this game. Dearness against the Bears.
Right.
We didn't have Chubb, we didn't have Hunt, and everybody said, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" And what did he run for? 153 yards, 143 yards.
Yeah, somewhere around that. Yeah. So do you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Maybe Mullins will be like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So while we're talking about, do you think he can lead this team to victory tomorrow? Because you just said a good point that the guy has a tendency to turn the ball over. We don't need that tomorrow. So can he squeak a win by, I'm looking to I can have him throw maybe less than 15. I don't even know if I want to do that. 15 times, if he can go like 12 for 15, 190 yards, and then we can run for 170, 200, and the defense plays good, I think. So do you guys think that he could possibly squeak out this win? We can't lose this game. We cannot. What do you guys think?
I think he can. With everything the Raiders are going through right now, they might be the only people whose locker room is in as much turmoil as ours. So I think with him coming out fresh, and it's one thing about the NFL, most people do good on their first start with a team till they get some tape and can watch and see what they do, because they're going to have to react what the offense is doing. It's a chance for Van Pelt to get creative and do some different things with the offense. Yeah, and like I said, run it down their throat.
Yeah, I want to see him open it up. It's always, a lot of people say too, why at the time, if they were healthy, why Chubb and Hunt don't be on the field at the same time? I can see some two tight end sets. You got Chubb and Hunt. You might have Hunt and Johnson and Chubb. Mix it up. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see, but Stefanski doesn't do that. I don't know what's wrong with him this year about him opening up the playbook. Baker, he's Baker. They want to make the excuse that, he's hurt. Well, it's like a lot of people said, when you step onto that field, you got to put out 100%. You got to play at a pro level. And he has but to me, even before he got hurt, he was throwing some wounded ducks. I seen it in the KC game.
Yeah, he was short arming, and then the next play he'd shoot it way overhead.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
He's I call him the white 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a 50. The first ball might be good. The second one is going to be bad. So, excuse me, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that David Njoku is going to be playing. He came off the COVID list yesterday.
Yes, he did. Him and Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, and then Harrison Bryant's been nursing an injury. They've got him on the list. I don't know if he's going to play, but they did. They've had Miller Forrestall, and he's played some, but also Stephen Carlson came off of injury list this year, off the IR. Jacob Phillips came off IR last week with Stephen Carlson. I liked Stephen Carlson when he was playing. Back in the day when they had Pharaoh Brown and Demetrius Harris, I liked Stephen Carlson. I thought he was going to be our unsung, come from nowhere type of guy.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't done that. He's an excellent blocker. He's got decent hands. He doesn't normally drop balls, but our wide receivers are going to be Donovan People-Jones, and they've got Hollywood in there. I think the problem, though, with the wide receiver room is now that Odell's gone, point to a guy that is a deep threat.
I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones, when you can get him the ball, he can be effective. I went to the training camp, man. He was making catches like Odell in his prime. And I know some of these balls, I mean, and Baker was throwing some, like, man, he really had to go up there and get it. And Baker was throwing some bad balls, but he was snatching them out the air like it was nothing. I mean, he had a couple games where he had some drops. Baker, I think some ball placement, it wasn't the right spot, and they was either be batted down, or he's taking a monster shot after he catches the ball, man. Ball placement, it's just, like I said, I don't want to start jumping on Bakers because people just have a fit, man. They just,
Yeah, they do, don't they? But I'll tell you about getting off Donovan Peoples-Jones and on to Baker. Here's the thing about Baker, is you're either in the camp of you love him and you're going to wait and be patient with him, or you're going to be in the camp that he's not going to be what we want. He's not developing. He's plus and minus. Well, let me tell you something. You're in one of those two camps, right? This is the only team in the NFL that's got camps. No other team's got quarterback camps. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Right.
That tells you either there's a problem, or there's not a problem. But the situation is that people are already congregating over here on this side of the room or that side of the room about their quarterback. Well, there's no camps in Green Bay. There's no camps in Kansas City. There's no camps in Buffalo. Now, there might be one in Baltimore now that after you saw Huntley play these last couple of days.
Hey, he played pretty good to come off the bench like that.
Hey,
He made one mistake. If he hadn't made that one mistake, that game would have been completely different. And we've been sitting here pissed off right now.
I love a running quarterback. I love somebody like Rand Cunningham. You give me somebody like that, and Lamar Jackson is great. You give me somebody that's got some legs like that can take off.
The Vicks.
And gain 7 yards or 17 or 37 on a scramble. That's a plus. That's a huge plus.
It is. But see, traditionally, a lot of these teams, they like these traditional drop back and pass quarterbacks. You know, a lot of these guys who are dual threats, they get a bad. Well, they've been, labeling Lamar. He can't pass all year. He can't pass, but he gets it done statistically. He's completed a lot of passes. He's thrown for a lot of touchdowns. His MVP season, he went hard. So he can throw the ball. I mean, it just.
When you're talking about that drop back pass, I'm starting to yawn.
Yeah. The Ravens line is trash. But they sustained a lot of injuries, but they still won games. Well, maybe not today.
And their running backs are from like the 1990s or something.
Yeah, Freeman and
yeah.
But
I heard they called Barry Sanders this week, so
wow.
See if he can suit up.
Damn.
So if anybody's entertaining Adrian Peterson, they're hurting for running back. I think it looks like Chubb's going to play.
Wonderful. Did they just release that?
Mm-hmm. Chubb's going to play.
Oh no, Chubb. He wasn't on the COVID list.
No, he was hurt.
Yes. And Hunt is on the list.
Yeah. Hunt hurt anyway.
I tell you somebody that they released today though was Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, we talked about. We said that Wyatt Teller. The line needs that. They need him.
Oh, you better believe it. When Conklin went down and Wills is still out.
Mm-hmm.
I think James Hudson just got put on the list yesterday, but he had a good game last year for a rookie.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, not last year, last week.
He did.
I think he had but Blake Hance is the problem. He's a roller coaster. Some games, if you put him in at guard, he plays pretty good. But you put him on the outside, you got a guy that's got one quick step, that first step. He's around hands.
Gotcha. All right, so we got to get to the last question because we up against it.
All right.
Now, who is to blame? Aaron, I'm going to let you handle this one. Who's to blame for the passing situation? Was it OBJ? Was it Baker? Or was it Kevin Stefanski?
Man, they all adults, so I think all of them responsible. I think Odell act like a spoiled brat. I think Stefanski should have been more creative. And I think Baker needs to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, he needs to quit acting like his bravado. He got a bravado of a champion, but he ain't won shit.
Yeah.
And I was even, I'm like, if your ankle hurts, your knee hurts, your shoulder hurt, do your ass bone hurt? Why don't you sit down? He cost us 2 games. He cost us the game against the Ravens, to me, and I think he cost us the Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh didn't even have a kicker. Only got 15 points, so that ain't the defense fault. And then the Ravens get 16 points with no Jackson. I mean, not the Ravens, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, it's like, man, come on. I honestly think it's all their fault. It's just that's the problem with the Browns. They got some maturing to do. If you look at them right now, they're throwing the coach under the bus. We talk about, we playing too conservative. Okay. That's worse than what Baker did. That's the worst to me than what Odell's father did. He going up against the coach. And that's Odell's father. That's not Odell. Maybe Odell asked to leave. He was smart. You know what I'm saying? He was smart. He's playing now. He got what? Touchdown last 3 games in a row. And they got a COVID outbreak in Cleveland.
Yeah, who
and he living in LA. He looked like he did the right thing. That's what I'm saying. It's just, winning is the cure for everything. But when you start losing, we find out who the real ones and who ain't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, all right, Barry. Now, what's your expertise on this?
I think we ought to blame Odell's dad.
No, we can't blame Odell's dad because this. I mean, he spoke out in the aftermath. You know, in the latter, everything that was going bad was already. I mean, it was just cut and dry. Baker could not get this guy the ball. I'm not gonna lie and say that OBJ was dropping. He was dropping some stuff. He wasn't running the right route. Sometimes when you're running around, they knock you off the route. You have to improvise to get back on the route. But Baker is like a timing guy. His impromptu game is trash. Aaron Rodgers, you can blow the whole play up. Aaron Rodgers will find you. He'll find a way. You know, Russell Wilson, you got guys like that who, if the blocking scheme don't go right, the protection's not right, they can make shit happen. And Baker's not that dude. Once you knock off this timing and rhythm, Baker is out there on an island. You know?
Yeah, he is. And
he's gonna roll to the right.
Take off.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not a guy that can just take off and gain 17 yards with his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, he can gain 3.
You know what? I would like to see him gain them 5. I would like to see him sometime tuck the ball and run in game 5 and slide.
I would too, but
I think that would make the defense more honest.
He's had those opportunities. He still want to fire off these damn darts that have no touch on the ball. That's all he has is a dart and a slant. You know what I'm saying? And it's always in the middle, and everything else is like throwing to the sideline. You know, some of his back shoulder throws they just lucky because that's not where he really wanted to go with the ball. Oh my God, man! I don't want to get on him. I really don't.
Well, here's some facts and figures about Odell while he was with Cleveland this year, not other years, but this year. He only had 17 receptions for less than 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
17 receptions. Think about that. He only caught 17 balls. He was only targeted 34. He had 3, and people were saying, well, he drops the ball. He had 3 drops.
Right.
3 drops this year. So yes, he dropped 2 in one game, and you look at him and he says, okay, he dropped the ball, and both of them were in critical positions. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
But football's a hard game. Maybe the sun got in his eye. Maybe he had sunblock in his eye. I don't know. So why are we only giving him 34 targets in 7 games? And he is Odell Beckham Jr. He's a deep threat. He's a slant guy. He's a slot guy.
Correct.
I mean, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, that's not Stefanski's offense, though. See, that's the thing. He's not that type of. He believes in the 3 tight end sets. He likes the shorter, higher percentage plays. If it's there, maybe go for it. It's the deep passing game is not his thing. He doesn't coach the deep passing game like that.
I agree with you.
You realize
run the ball, control the clock, and tight ends.
You realize he's the only coach.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Barry. I'm sorry. Both of you.
Okay, you realize
if he doesn't fit this offense before the trade deadline, why didn't we get rid of him and get something for him?
And you know what? That is the number one golden question. I don't know if they was trying to torture that guy. I don't. Who knows? But something. I had got word that he was on the block. He was on the trading block. They didn't like to deal with the Saints, and he was going. I knew he was going regardless.
Yeah.
He
looked that way. Yeah, at the Steelers game, Baker overthrew him. He had 1 catch for 6 yards. Baker overthrew him, and somewhere in the beginning of the 4th quarter, I was sitting on the Browns sideline, and he came walking off the field, just kind of meandering. The punt team was going out. Well, usually what happens is the offense sits with the offense, the defense sits with the defense. He came out, and he was standing next to the punter. The punter is next to the kicker, and the kicker standing next to the long snapper. They all do that. They're all just standing there to themselves. Odell just came and stood with them like, I don't belong here. Where do I belong?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is what it is. We'll never know. Well, guys, we are up against it. This is the end of the show. And I would like to thank Barry Shuck. Make sure I got that right. One of the writers for Dawgs by Nature for coming on the show. Barry, I thank you and I appreciate you, man. Thanks for showing love. Thanks for coming on the show. And it is what it is. I appreciate you.
I enjoyed my time. Y'all have a great week.
You too. Take care.
Yeah.